Kash Patel didn't walk into that hearing looking nervous. But the moment he opened his mouth, something felt off. You could see it in the way he tightened his jaw, the way he tried to keep his answers short, the way he treated every question like a threat instead of an opportunity to clear his name. And within seconds, it became obvious. This wasn't going to be a standard confirmation hearing. This was going to be the kind of collision that exposes what powerful people never want said out loud. It all began with a single, simple question. A question that didn't require classified knowledge, legal nuance, or national security briefings.
That all FBI employees who they identified who had worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs. Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
Say that I would remove people for case assignments?
That people that were identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs. Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
People are not removed for
Just
case
answer my
assignments.
question. Just answer my question. Did you tell that to someone?
People are not removed for case
No,
assignments.
you're not answering my question.
And I would
Mr.
never
Patel,
tell anyone.
Did you tell someone at the FBI that FBI employees identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Yes or no, did you tell someone that?
I would never tell anyone at the FBI that they're being removed for basically their case assignments.
Okay, so anyone who had said that would be lying. Is that your testimony?
Anyone can say whatever they want.
No, I know, but you're saying they were a liar.
I'm telling you what I said.
Because this is in the complaint against you, Mr. Patel. So you're saying Mr. Driscoll and others are liars?
I'm not going to address the complaint in the ongoing
Okay, well then let me ask you, have you ever told anyone at the FBI that the FBI tried to put the president in jail and he hasn't forgotten it, and that your job depended on the removal of agents who worked on cases against the president?
No.
Did you ever tell anyone that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever tell anyone that you knew these summary firings you were undertaking were illegal, likely illegal, and that you would be sued and later deposed? Did you ever tell anyone that?
No firings at the FBI or terminations were done for anything other than justified
Did you ever
cause.
tell anyone that, Mr.
No,
Patel? Why don't you
no
answer my question?
terminations at the FBI were ever done in my tenure for anything other than failing
Did you ever
to
tell
uphold
anyone
their
that,
oath of
Mr. Patel? You willing to
office
answer
or
the question?
The FBI.
I guess
I
you're
have
not willing to
answered
answer the
it.
question. So let me move on. Let me move on to the Epstein files. You said you're the most transparent FBI director in history, so I'm going to put you to the test. In 2024, you were asked by Glenn Beck about Epstein's Black Book. And you said, he asked, who has Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book? And you said, Black Book, FBI. And he said, but who? That is, I mean theirs. And you said, oh, that's under the direct control of the director of the FBI. That's what you said. Was that true, Mr. Patel?
I'll rely on you quoting it accurately. I did that a couple
Was
of
it
years
true
ago.
what you represented to Mr. Beck and the president's supporters out there, or were you lying?
No,
Was it true that the Black Book, Epstein's Black Book, was in the possession of the FBI director?
The Black Book was in the possession of the FBI.
Okay, so now that you're the FBI director, you have possession of the Black Book, right?
That index has been released.
So you have Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book?
What is known as Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book has been released by us.
And you released it. And let me follow up on Senator Kennedy's question, because he asked you, and I'll be very precise here. You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? And you said, himself. There's no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And Kennedy, the information we have, again, is limited. And Senator Kennedy said, the answer is no one. And you said, for the information we have. So is it your testimony today that in all of the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never
Patel?
said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Mr. Kennedy's question,
And I
Senator Kennedy's
said
question.
the information that 3 administrations have had access to
I'm
have
asking-
made determinations that there are no investigative leads that were credible to prosecute and investigate any others. I'm
Well,
specifically
I'm asking
stating
you whether
we
it's
were
your
working on.
testimony today
Well, you just read it, and I
I'm-
said it
I'm-
10 minutes ago, so let the record reflect my
I
testimony.
just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding, because there are victims like Virginia Guifer who have testified otherwise, who have said otherwise, and you're telling the American people today that the Epstein list is a single name and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're to believe?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying, and
Well,
you can say whatever you
Let me
want.
ask you this. When Todd Blanche went to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, she said, "But did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet, who you value as your co-workers, and you know would be with him if he was a creep or because they wanted sexual favors. A man wants sexual favors, he will find out. They didn't have to come to Epstein for that." And the next question Todd Blanche, the president's former criminal defense lawyer, asked is not who in the cabinet, who are you referring to? His question is, so when's the last time you think you were with Mr. Epstein when he got a massage? So let me ask you, who are those cabinet members that Ghislaine Maxwell was referring to that, that were part of this cast of characters associated with Mr. Epstein? Who are they?
The Deputy Attorney General took the aggressive step that no one else did and interviewed Ms. Maxwell for
I'm asking
2
you,
days,
who are
and we
the
released
who are
the
the cabinet
entirety
members?
of that
Who are the cabinet
transcript.
members?
I do not have that transcript in front of me. You're picking it piecemeal. The American
And-
public can
and
read the entirety of
Let me
that.
ask you one last question, because you clearly won't tell us the cabinet members associated with Mr. Epstein. But let me ask you one last question. And that is, right after she gives this testimony in front of an FBI agent, among others, she's transferred to a minimum security prison not suitable for a sex offender like herself. Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
Prisons.
the Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements
Oh,
of
you're not in
inmates.
the weeds?
What I am
The
doing is
most-
protecting
the
this country,
most- the
providing
most
historic
significant
reform,
witness-
and
the most
combating the
significant witness,
weaponization of
the
intelligence
Epstein
by the
files
likes of you.
cover-up
And we have
gets
countlessly proven you to
from
be a
your
liar in
administration,
Russiagate, in
and you
January
call that
6th.
being
You are
in
the
the
biggest
weeds?
fraud to ever sit in the
This
United States
stinks to
Senate.
high
You are a
heaven.
disgrace to this
This stinks to high
institution
heaven.
and an utter
And
coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised
not
that you continue to
surprised
lie
that
from your perch and put on a show
view
so you can go
of you
raise money for your
and for good
charade.
reason.
You are a political buffoon at best.
Well, you can take an internet troll.
Take
and
it
make-
to
you
the
can take
bank
an
that the
internet-
FBI is
you
protecting
can
this
make an
country
internet troll,
and the state and
the FBI
citizens of the
director
California.
will
We are
always
bringing
be nothing
historic
more than an
reform.
internet
Point of
troll.
order. But all you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat. And what did President Trump do? Bring new charges courageously. And what have we done?
Chairman,
You said
take
I'm the
control
most
of this
transparent
situation.
FBI director in history.
Take control of this
33,000 pages of information to you. I challenge you to say anything credibly to the truth. Go ahead and run to the cameras where you want to go now.
A question any honest official should have been able to answer without hesitation. And yet, for Kash Patel, it was the exact question that caused his entire performance to crack. That's how you know something big is underneath the surface. Because people who are confident in the truth don't panic at the easiest questions, they welcome them. But Patel? He braced like he had something to lose. Adam Schiff leaned forward and asked what should have been the most straightforward inquiry in the entire hearing. Did you terminate or discipline anyone at the Bureau because they worked on politically sensitive cases? Yes or no? That was it. No traps. No tricks. No hypotheticals. A question a nominee should answer cleanly if they're committed to accountability. But instead of responding, Patel went rigid. His eyes darted for safe phrasing, something rehearsed, something that sounded official without exposing anything real. And then he delivered the line that would define the entire hearing. No one was terminated for case assignments alone. Alone. A single word that says everything without admitting anything. A word witnesses use when they want to dodge responsibility without confessing to the truth. Schiff instantly knew what he was hearing. The kind of evasive phrasing that's been polished behind closed doors by lawyers whose job is to help powerful people avoid clarity. Patel wasn't answering. He was defending himself in advance. And once Schiff recognized the pattern, he refused to let it slide that he repeated the same question, slowly this time. Tightening the circle, Patel was scrambling to escape. Did you fire people because of the cases they were assigned? Did you pressure anyone to remove agents who worked on politically inconvenient investigations? Did you use personnel decisions to reward loyalty or punish independence? Yes or no? Schiff wasn't improvising. He was probing weaknesses, areas where Patel's own language betrayed him. But instead of answering, Patel danced around the edges, repeating that same carefully engineered phrasing like a shield. Every time Schiff pressed, Patel dodged. Every time Schiff narrowed the question, Patel searched for a new technical phrase that sounded like cooperation but delivered nothing. And that's when the energy in the room shifted. Because a witness who cannot survive a basic yes or no question without spiraling into verbal gymnastics is a witness who fears where the truth leads. And that fear became even clearer as Schiff kept going, refusing to let Patel hide behind scripted lines. Schiff stripped the question of every complication. He removed the word alone. He removed context. He removed wiggle room. Then he leaned in and asked one last time, with surgical precision, did you fire anyone, even partly, because they were connected to sensitive investigations? Just answer yes or no. And that's when Patel snapped, not into honesty, but into hostility. Instead of a clear answer, he lashed out. You're setting up a trap. A trap? No. A trap only exists when the answer is something you don't want to say. Because if the truth were harmless, simple, or innocent, he would have said it. When people refuse yes or no questions, it's usually because yes is damaging and no would be a lie. That's the moment Patel began to unravel, not with facts, but with frustration. His voice tightened. His patience evaporated. The tone shifted from defensive to confrontational. And Schiff, who had spent decades cross-examining people who didn't want to answer questions, immediately recognized the shift. You could almost feel the temperature drop. Patel realized he wasn't navigating a friendly committee. This wasn't a soft interview. This was accountability. And that's when Schiff struck the pressure point Patel hoped would stay buried. The Epstein files. Suddenly, the dodges weren't enough. The phrasing wasn't enough. The pre-prepared lines weren't enough. Because Schiff wasn't relying on speculation. He had Patel's own words. Words from a public interview where Patel bragged about the Epstein Black Book being under the personal control of the Bureau's director. Not the agency. Not the analysts. Not a special unit. Him. So when Schiff asked if that statement was true, Patel couldn't hide. He had to either defend the claim or explain why he said it. But instead of clarity, he stumbled. Instead of owning his words, he tried to dilute them. Suddenly, the Black Book was just in the possession of the Bureau. Suddenly, his earlier comments were misquoted. Suddenly, the details he once spoke about confidently were not in front of him right now. The shift was too obvious to ignore. He wasn't clarifying. He was backtracking. Because admitting what he had said publicly would mean admitting he exaggerated the truth to a massive audience. Schiff kept reading Patel's old statements back to him. Patel tried to dodge. Schiff tightened the framing. Patel tried to shift the focus. And then Schiff brought out the question that Patel absolutely did not want on the record. Who did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? That was the moment Patel froze. Because weeks earlier, when pressed, he had given a vague, controversial answer claiming there was no credible information indicating Epstein trafficked anyone to anyone else. But now Schiff brought the question into the hearing, word for word, with the exact phrasing that had raised alarms. Patel tried to maneuver around it, claiming he never said Epstein trafficked no one else. But Schiff read the transcript out loud, line by line. The contradiction became undeniable. This was the moment that revealed the true stakes. Because if the official position is that Epstein trafficked no one to anyone else, then the public has to believe something impossible, that every survivor who mentioned other names was mistaken, that all references to powerful associates were irrelevant, and that every redaction, every sealed page, every blurred connection was coincidental. Schiff didn't need to accuse anyone. He simply pointed out the obvious. Victim testimony and official statements do not match. Patel's discomfort grew. His responses became erratic, tense, almost frantic. He interrupted. He lectured. He tried to belittle Schiff's questions. But the more emotional he became, the more obvious it was that he felt cornered, not by politics, but by his own prior statements. Then Schiff pivoted again, this time referencing a comment from J. Maxwell, where she described a cast of characters connected to Epstein. Individuals she claimed were not there for anything inappropriate, but who undeniably existed in his orbit. When Schiff asked Patel who those individuals were, Patel refused to answer. He claimed the transcript was public. He claimed not to remember. He claimed it wasn't relevant. But refusing to answer only raised more questions. Schiff zeroed in on a final detail that stunned the room. After Maxwell gave that interview, she was abruptly transferred to a minimum security facility that was not considered appropriate for people convicted of what she was accused of. Schiff asked who made that decision. Patel said the prison bureau. Schiff asked if it was connected to the interview. Patel denied it. Schiff asked if the public should believe the timing was purely coincidental. Patel insisted it was. But each answer felt thinner than the last. And then came the breaking point, Patel's outburst. He exploded into accusations, attacking Schiff personally, calling him dishonest, calling him a fraud, calling him a political actor. He hurled insults instead of evidence. He used anger instead of facts. He turned the hearing into a performance of outrage. That wasn't strength. That was panic. Because people who feel secure don't lose control. People who feel exposed do. Once Patel finished, Schiff sat there quietly, almost unfazed, because he didn't need to shout. The meltdown had already told the public everything the answers could not. When a nominee reacts to oversight with fury, when they treat questions as attacks, when they collapse under the weight of their own contradictions, that reveals more about the truth than any document ever could. And that's what makes this hearing so important. It wasn't about two men arguing. It wasn't about political theater. It wasn't about scoring points. It was about something much bigger, whether institutions meant to stand above politics are slipping into the shadows of personal loyalty. Oversight exists to stop that drift. Because the moment agencies fear questioning, the moment nominees dodge accountability, the moment powerful people cannot answer basic oversight without erupting into rage, that's when democracy starts to tilt in dangerous ways. This hearing wasn't just messy. It was revealing. It showed a nominee unwilling to give direct answers about personnel decisions. It showed a nominee contradicting his own public statements about the Epstein files. It showed a nominee evading testimony that survivors have risked everything to bring forward. And it showed a nominee who resorted to personal attack instead of transparency. Because when the truth is safe, people share it freely. When the truth is dangerous, people hide behind anger. If you want breakdowns like this that cut through the noise, expose the layers behind political drama, and dive into the moments the powerful don't want you to replay, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next deep dive. Your support keeps these investigations going, and there's a lot more coming.